SD-WAN, software defined WAN. In this video, we will understand about what is SD-WAN, how is it different from traditional WAN, the key vendors in the market, and what are its benefit as compared to the predecessors. So here we start. Well, this is the traditional WAN setup where the remote sites used to connect to the MPLS provider. However, an important factor here is either they used to have MPLS or point-to-point links, and especially for the MPLS, they used to have only one service provider, let us say maybe Verizon or AT&T or maybe Airtel or Reliance. So let's say AT&T is the service provider which has been taken. So all these remote sites had to take that AT&T MPLS only and not Verizon or Airtel so that their communication can happen. So same was the case for the data center also. Now for simplicity, we've taken just one MPLS provider in that case, which is AT&T. Well, in that case, what used to happen is that since the MPLS was quite a secured connectivity and unlike internet, there was no opportunity for the hackers to attack and compromise the system. And this MPLS would provide a passage for connectivity for the data center applications which were here and also for accessing the internet or maybe the SaaS applications which were in the cloud. Hence, the path for accessing the data center application for the remote sites was via the MPLS. And from the MPLS, there were firewall security assets which were in place, which used to perform that cleaning of the pipe or that posture check. Everything was taken care at the data center, and further from there, it was sent towards the internet or the SaaS applications. Now, the downside of this was, let us say, this remote site requires internet as well as access to the applications. So somewhere for access to the applications which are in data center and the SaaS, around 50 Mbps is required and 50 Mbps for the internet. That accounts to around 100 Mbps here, right? And for this remote site also 50 plus 50, same requirement which accounts to 100 Mbps. In that case, all the internet bound traffic also, that is browsing or applications, everything used to take path through the MPLS provider towards the entry exit points for the internet gateway. So internet bandwidth requirement of additional 50 was being increased here. The data center also had to increase its MPLS connectivity in order to support the additional requirement here, as well as its internet link also. Not only that, in order to cater such a high demand of internet bandwidth from all the remote locations, the firewalls, the devices, all those switches, routers, and everything, they were of very high throughput so that they can scale to maybe hundreds of sites, remote sites, or maybe thousands of sites which are converging here at the data center. Hence, the bandwidth requirement, the high rather throughput requirement of the devices which were there, and it had to be quite scalable also. In addition to that, there was another thing which is called quality of service. With these links, the reliability, the jitter, delay were too low on the lower side, and reliability was very high, which the internet at that time could not provide. Now, considering all those challenges, SD-WAN was introduced because there was a huge pressure on service providers in order to reduce the bandwidth, and also another aspect was the QS or equivalent type of service should be provided by the new solution. Another thing was all these remote sites had CPEs. In fact, the data center also had the CPE. So the operations or the implementers had to log in to each and every device to perform those changes, the configuration changes. Just imagine these are two sites only, maybe there are hundreds of more sites also. Everywhere they had to log in via the CLI, do the configuration, a small change also, which was a quite the workforce intensive, manpower intensive work. That is what put pressure so as to move from MPLS or point to point links towards the SD-WAN. Here we have the SD-WAN which has been implemented instead of the MPLS. So MPLS is removed and SD-WAN here what we can see has been set up, and there are some special type of CPs for SD-WAN which are implemented here. Now the challenges which were faced by the traditional WAN. So in that case, what used to happen that for internet browsing also the remote side had to come to the data center, but not now. Here, the local breakout for internet is possible, and only that traffic is sent via the SD-WAN towards the data center, which is for the application access only. And rest internet and SaaS application is separate. So that overload, which was, or the oversubscription, which was implemented here at the data center end, because all the traffic from the remote sites used to come to the data center, that reduced. And in addition to that, all the firewalls, the routers, switches, which were very high throughput. Now, since the bandwidth and all those, that traffic is not coming here, and only limited traffic which requires access to the data center resources is required, then the cost and the upkeep of these devices also reduced, because we can work with the smaller and less throughput boxes also. Another aspect is that since the internet connection was taken on which the SD-WAN was running, it made these connections secured like MPLS by running IPsec or security protocol on top of it, which allowed it to be more robust, and that posture, that strengthening of that communication was there, so the hackers could not compromise the this connectivity also. And most important part is now you can use any of the ISP, not only one, like in the last case we had Verizon or maybe AT&T. Here we can have any of them, maybe Verizon for one location, AT&T for the other, a fiber link for another location, a 5G connection for another locations. So that option to have that multitude of option and ISP where they can negotiate and bring down the cost also of the links as per the local service provider, that also was brought into picture, which was earlier not there. And another important aspect is now via the orchestrator, in case of the SD-WAN, let us say we want to do some change on the all the remote sites via the orchestrator only, by push of a button the configuration can be pushed to all the devices, and you don't need to log into each and every CPE of the remote sites to perform the configuration. So that high manpower requirement in order to do that configuration and each and every site was also drastically reduced. And that is why SD-WAN is the de facto proposed and most beneficial solution, which reduces the cost and related vendor lock-in and such type of things. Here is some more information regarding the SD-WAN. SD-WAN, as we earlier discussed, is software-defined wide area network. It was introduced in early 2010s, and the reason for introduction was SD-WAN was there was a lot of pressure on the service providers and businesses to bring the cost down, and also there was a shift to cloud services and key limitations which were seen in the traditional WAN. Next, we'll come to the benefits of it. As we earlier discussed, centralized management. Through the orchestrator, we could push the configuration on all of those devices in one go. Unlike the traditional WAN, where we have to log into each and every CPE of the site for that configuration, which drastically has brought the manpower requirement down. Next is the application aware routing. In that case, what happens? Let us say the site has two connections over the SD-WAN. So one of the connection may be facing high jitter, loss or delay, or maybe bandwidth crunch. Automatically, the CPEs in case of SD-WAN are so intelligent that through application aware routing, they'll route it through the other link. And then the user experience drastically increases, and hence the performance also of the SD-WAN. Cost efficiency is one parameter where the cost of the hardware, the link cost also is brought down significantly, improved user performance and enhanced security. So the CPEs which are at the remote sites or maybe a data center or SD-WAN, they have the capability to provide the basic security, and hence that increases or allows that flexibility to have the local internet breakout at the remote sites also. Key SD-WAN vendors. Here is the list of the key vendors which are in market which are providing SD-WAN, and the functionality and the feature set is almost the same. However, they have their own component type and the way they are implemented are a little bit different. However, the key factors and the benefits can be reaped out from any of the SD-WAN vendor. So to start with, we have the Cisco SD-WAN, which was earlier called Viptela. It was bought by Cisco and now it is called Cisco SD-WAN. Second is the VMware based VeloCloud solution, Fortinet solution, then the Palo Alto Prisma SD-WAN solution, HP's Silver Peak solution, which also provides SD-WAN, Nokia Nuage, Versa, Riverbed, and finally Citrix, which also provides the SD-WAN capabilities. Hope you like this video and please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you.